Abhayachara Naravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Jam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraja Shtatara Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vishnu Ki Namacharya Shiva Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvipa Dham Ki Jai New Jagannatha Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shri Harinama Sankirtana Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Shri Guru Vandana, Guru, sweet of our spiritual master, are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, I can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth.
Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires.
He opens my darkened eyes,
and fills my heart with transcendent knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic rain emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The basic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord of master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us, give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame spread all over the three worlds.
We take shelter at your lotus feet, Prabhupada.
Srila Bhavana Srila Prabhupada ke Jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunati Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astuttara Shabda Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, text 46. Panchadvarastu paurastya Panchadvarastu paurastya Dakshinaika tatottara Dakshinaika tatottara Paschime dve amushante Paschime dve amushante Namani nripavarnaye Namani nripavarnaye Panchadvarastu paurastya Dakshinaika tatottara Paschime dve amushante Namani nripavarnaye. Please chant.
Panchadvarastu paurastya
Panchadvarastu paurastya
Dakshinaika tatottara
Dakshinaika tatottara
Paschime dve amushante
Paschime dve amushante
Namani nripavarnaye
Namani nripavarnaye. Matajis. Panchadvarastu paurastya Dakshinaika tatottara Paschime dve amushante Namani nripavarnaye. Word for word translation. Pancha, 5. Dvaraha, doors. Tu, 10. Paurastyaha, facing the eastern side. Dakshina, southern. Southern. Eka, 1. Tata, also. Uttara, 1 toward the north. Paschime, similarly on the western side. Dve, 2. Amusham, of them. Te, unto you. Namani, names. Nripa, O king. Varnaye, I shall describe. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My dear king, of the 9 doors, 5 led toward the eastern side, 1 led toward the northern side, 1 led toward the southern side, and 2 led toward the western side. I shall try to give the names of these different doors. Purport. Of the 7 doors on the surface, namely the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth, 5 look forward, and these are described as the doors facing the eastern side. Since looking forward means seeing the sun, these are described as the eastern gates, for the sun rises in the east. The gate on the northern side and the gate on the southern side represent the 2 ears, and the 2 gates facing the western side represent the rectum and the genitals. All the doors and gates are described below. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchadvarastu Paurastya Dakshinaika Tatottara Paschime Dve Amushankte Namani Nripa Varnaye. My dear King, of the 9 doors, 5 led toward the eastern side, 1 led toward the northern side, 1 led toward the southern side, and 2 led toward the western side. I shall try to give the names of these different doors. So it's a short purport, and I was thinking we can speak a little bit about the topic of reincarnation, and then especially about the value of the human form of life and how it can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So this whole story of King Puranjana means the one who lives in the city, and it actually is a allegory of all of the living entities in the material world. And you remember in the beginning how Narada Muni started to describe. You probably, it's good also, because you were not here, maybe. You English is good? Yes. For you? Yeah. So this, how did he start the allegory? Analogy. Allegory. Metaphor. You remember?
You described the different doors.
The beginning of the whole story. The story of King Puranjana. He started to describe how there was once a man who had a friend, Avigyata, the unknown one, and he was wandering around looking for a suitable place to fulfill all his desires. And in this way, in such a nice way, he described how the soul is wandering from one body to the other, samsara, brahmande, brahmite. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita there's this very nice verse where it says, brahmande, the whole universe, which is like an egg, and brahmite, the living entity, wanders around. And so this is the topic of reincarnation, and this is not a very common topic even amongst the non-devotees nowadays. And I wanted to just quote a few verses which might help us in our preaching, which Prabhupada also used often. And so when we speak about reincarnation, we speak about taking a material body. And in the Purana, this is the Padma Purana, there is a verse which describes the different forms of life. Jalaja navalakshani stavara lakshavimshati krimayo rudra sankyaka pakshinam dasha lakshanam tringsha lakshani pashavaha chatur lakshani manushaha. Prabhupada used this verse a lot. And it gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories of material bodies. And maybe we can try to collect them together. So what is the lowest one? The lowest category of material bodies, according to the consciousness, which is allowed to exhibit itself by accepting such a form. Which one is the lowest?
Minerals.
Huh?
Minerals.
The aquatics, yeah. That category is the first one given in this Purana. And it's a very nice, of course I also don't know the whole verse, but I know this first line because it's so, the Sanskrit is so logic. It's called Jalaja. Jala means water, and Ja means born. Means the living entity is born in water. Jalaja. Nava Lakshani, so there is 9,000. Then the next one, a little higher. Plants. Stavara, those who stay. Which is interesting, yeah. For many of us, it's like the plants should be the lowest form, but apparently the plants have a higher consciousness. And there is Laksha Vingshati, which is 2 million. 2 million non-moving living entities, those who stay. Tulasi Malani is not one, it doesn't belong to them, but like a grass or a tree, all these kind of plants. A cactus is also standing. When I was there in Bodensee, there is some winter garden, a big one for tourists. They have all this kind of cactus. And then the next one. No, there is one before. No, beast. Insects. Krimayo Rudra Sankaya. Krimayo means the insects. And there is 1,100,000 insects. Forms, different forms. Like how many do we know? We know maybe how many forms? So few, but actually we have to take the verdict of the Shastra because we know our senses are limited and the whole universe is so vast, so there is so many different life forms. Then the next one is Lucas, you can say again. Birds, Pakshinam. And there is how many forms of birds? 1 million. 1 million. Then the next one? Beasts. They are here described as quadrupeds, means those who have 4 legs, like cows, horses, dogs, cats. Tringsha Lakshani Pashava. Pashava means beasts, here in the translation. And then the final one, the highest form? Humans. How many? 400,000. So this very important verse, no? So even I heard some time ago that the scientists, they made a calculation based on their observation. They know observation pratyaksha, then anuman, they speculate. And somehow by taking certain factors into consideration, they came to a quite similar number to this 8,400,000. Probably they were doing something with the genes, or I don't know. They have all kinds of...
8.7 million.
They came up 8.7 million. And it's a speculation, so... and can you imagine how much time they invested to find out that number? Probably a lot of time and many people. And how much time does it take for us? We just open the book, listen to Srila Prabhupada, and then we have it. And so here in this story, it is described how Puranjana, he accepts this human form of body, especially south of Bharatvarsha. So means not the lowest form of this 400,000, but actually the highest one. The highest form of taking birth in Bharatvarsha. Of course, there is also differences, but in general, if one is sane and healthy, then the body in Bharatvarsha is the most auspicious one. Why? Because taking birth in Bharatvarsha, you basically from birth you learn about karma, reincarnation, and God. Of course, God nowadays, it's quite a Mayavadic understanding, but at least in India, almost all the people, they hear about the soul and reincarnation and karma from birth, and maybe they don't believe it, they don't accept, but that chance is given. It's like inherited in this body. So that is an important verse, and there's two verses which I want to briefly quote, which now highlight the value of the human form. This is from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and I will not read the Sanskrit, but the translation. One attains the human form of life after transmigrating through 8,400,000 species by the process of gradual evolution. So evolution means, we know that word evolution, we learned it in school. Evolution means to go up or to make progress. And it's a different kind of evolution here, where the soul goes up from a lower form to a higher form. So not the Darwinistic approach of the lower form transforms into a higher form, but the soul transmigrates from a lower to a higher form. And then it says that human life is spoiled for those conceited fools who do not take shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda.
Why is conceited?
I don't know, I was also thinking. And just the past few days I was listening to the seminar of Uddhav Gita given by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and he loved to speak about Uddhav Gita, and I don't know if you know that, but in the lockdown he gave it was in 2019, he gave a seminar at the Vyas Puja about Uddhav Gita, and when the lockdown came, all the Swamis, they started to give katha, and so the question came, what should I talk on? And there is a recording, I was watching that, Guru Maharaj said, so I was thinking, what topic should we choose? And so I was suggesting, why not Uddhav Gita? And everybody was saying, Guru Maharaj, you just spoke about Uddhav Gita. But Uddhav Gita is so deep, we can speak about it eternally. So I will speak again about Uddhav Gita. And of course, it's very amazing because he left a few months later, or a few weeks later. And Uddhav Gita is nothing else but Krishna, before he leaves, instructing Uddhav about, now that he will be alone here, how he should act. So, even though devotees kind of protested to him that you already spoke about, he knew that's the topic I have to speak on. And there he quoted a verse, Laptva Sudurlabam. This, wait, I have it. It goes like this: Laptva Sudurlabam idam bahu sambhavante. Bahu sambhavante, that after many, many births. Just want to read it to you. Yeah, here. Laptva sudurlabam idam bahu sambhavante. Manushyam artadam anityam apiha dhiraha. And then it goes on. I read the translation. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. Bahunam Chamanamante in Bhagavad Gita is a similar statement by Krishna himself. Here is actually the, if I remember correctly, it's the Avadut speaking to King Yadu. And he's making this point that this human form is very special. And he's even saying that Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. I heard this example of the skyscraper building, which has so many floors above, and also usually there is a basement you can go down. But how can you go out of the building? On the ground floor. And we know that we are situated in Bhumandala, it's the middle of the universe. And below there is so many lower species, and above there is higher species, like the demigods. Why can the demigods not attain Krishna consciousness? I mean, they are Krishna conscious, but why can they not attain the perfection of Krishna consciousness? It is said that they actually pray and wish to take birth as a human being. What's the problem? Because they are more advanced, but then what's the problem? Why is the human form better for Krishna consciousness? Yeah.
Well, this place is also called Mrityaloka, so it's easy to realize that life is very temporary and painful, and then you actually become serious in practice. But in the higher planetary system, there's so much enjoyment and pleasure that you don't have that urge to change something so much.
Yeah.
That's one reason which is cool.
Yeah, I would have said the same. Yeah, that here you are kind of forced to understand that life is temporary and miserable, but in the higher planetary systems, like Krishna Prem Rupa Prabhu said, there's a lot of enjoyment. How do they enjoy? Prabhupada describes in his books.
They eat and drink from golden pots.
Okay, they are so opulent. They have golden pots to eat and drink from.
So
Yes. Soma rasa. You heard of Soma rasa? Rasa means juice. And Soma means, it's a name of the moon also. So it's juice coming from the moon. And in order to understand what Soma, we actually probably cannot really understand it, because we have experience of different kinds of rasa. Like, you can compare it like this. Here, people, if they want to enjoy, they go and drink alcohol. No. And then what happens? They somehow get unconscious and then they enjoy. But Soma rasa is different. It has the opposite effect. And for me, because Guru Maharaj was speaking about Soma rasa as well, and somehow when he explained it, yeah, you know, when a devotee speaks about something, he kind of realized probably what it means. And I was even thinking, how many of us have had Soma rasa maybe in some previous lives? Maybe we've had. Because it is also described that if you go to the higher planetary systems, then you enjoy. And how long can you enjoy? As long as you have pious credit. So basically, it's like you put some money in the bank, and then when you have a lot of balance, you can go to the higher planetary systems, and then you can spend that credit. But once it is finished, you have to come down again.
And you got this credit from your previous karma?
Yes, yeah, the good karma, pious. Shishi Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. And of course, this is also described. It is not so easy to get this kind of pious credit. You have to really follow the dharmic principles of the Shastra, the scriptures. But what I wanted to say is, so when this is finished, you just fall down to this world again, and you have to start from zero, nothing. And so the Soma rasa, for me that I was able to understand it better, I was reflecting about some verses in the Bhagavad Gita where it says that Krishna, he is the moon, and he is supplying the juice to everything. So meaning all the tastes we can experience in this world, like if I eat a vegetable or a fruit, it comes from the moon. It's also very difficult for us to accept. But even, I remember, you know, I grew up on a farm. My father, he once spoke about some calendar, the Anna, some anthroposophic calendar, where they would really plant according to the moon cycle. So they had this knowledge. This knowledge is in the Vedas, so naturally it's also kind of available. But the science, I don't know how they will accept this point. So the moonlight will give the juice, the taste. And that is also the explanation why the vegetables and the fruits which are grown in these big greenhouses, you know, they look very nice, but often they don't have a taste because they don't get the moonlight properly. They look nice, but they don't get the essence. Kali Yuga products. And not only does the moon supply the juice, the rasa, to the vegetables, it also supplies the rasa for everything which we can relish in this world. Even the relationships comes from them. Means the moon the moon god is giving you a certain taste. For example, in relationship, it's coming from the moon god. It's his department. So meaning if you see a person who has a lot of good relationships, let's say, a mother, she has nice children and husband and the whole thing. She must have some good credit from the moon god, because he's giving that thing. So, to come back to the point, Soma Rasa means this rasa from coming from the moon, and if you drink that, the opposite than what happens when you drink alcohol, you become more conscious, you are able to enjoy more. And what they do is, Prabhupada describes, they go to gardens, like heavenly gardens, and they drink, and then there is many beautiful women, and they enjoy in the heavenly planets. And that's kind of becomes very clear why it's so difficult to become Krishna conscious there, because it's just so nice, it's no need to think about some alternative. So that's why the human form is better. And so as a human being, we get a lot of mixed karma, we also suffer a lot, and this actually helps us. And so then this verse we were saying before, Brahmande Brahmite, Kon Bhagavan Chief, Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Beach, that so this soul is wandering from one form to the other, and then it comes to this human form, and then it is able to receive the seed of bhakti from the Guru. And that's where it all starts only. I wanted to make this point because some devotees will soon get initiation. And Guru Maharaj, because I saw him give many lectures about initiation, he made the point often that this is only the beginning. It's like going to university. When you enroll and they accept you, that's initiation. It's not that you have a bachelor yet, or a master, or a PhD, you just started. And in this way I was also thinking how this should be encouraging for all the devotees who are not initiated, that of course we have to be sure that we can follow the principles and follow the vows we take, but it's the beginning. And this is the big chance we got by being in contact with these gurus to take initiation and then go for it. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashid yatati siddhaye yatatam apisiddhanam kashimam veti tattvataha, that okay, you have so many human beings, and then maybe one out of thousands he will try to reach perfection. And everybody who takes initiation certainly is such a person who understands there is a siddhi, a perfection of life, and I want to aspire for that. But the reality is that only a few of them, only one out of, again, many, actually attain or are on the stage of that goal. So, and our Bhakti Shastras, especially Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they give us a whole process of Bhakti Yoga, and the initiation is the beginning. And the goal is very lofty. It's actually the highest goal one can aspire for in the whole creation. And I want to read one verse from Brahma Samhita, so that we can maybe meditate about why it is so lofty. This is the last, when we chant Brahma Samhita, it's in the end. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Drumabhu Mishinta Manigana Maitoyam Amritam Kataganam natyam gamanamapi vangshi priya sakhi Chidanandam jyoti paramapitat aswadyam apicha Sayatrakshiradi shravati surat Bibhyascha sumahan Nimesharda kyova brachati nahi yatrabi samaya Pache shveta dvipam tamahamiha golokam itiyang Vidantaste santa kshiti virala charaha katipaye. Here Brahma, seeing the place where we want to go, because remember we are wandering in this Brahmanda from one body to the other, and we are experiencing a certain reality, and we are meant to be situated in one place, and that is the spiritual world, especially the highest place we aspire for, Goloka Vrindavan. And Brahma, he gets the darshan of that place, and he now describes what he can see. I worship the transcendental seat known as Shvetadvip, where as loving consorts the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practiced the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree. Every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is the purpose jam. All water is nectar. Every word is a song. Every gate is a dance. The flute is the favorite attendant. Effulgence is full of transcendental bliss. And the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. That's why it's a very lofty goal, because it's the perfect environment. Every word is a song, meaning people just sing all the time. And every movement is a dance. They are dancing all the time. And why? Why is it so? They're happy. One thing, they have so much love in the heart, so they always sing, and they're so happy that they always dance. And secondary, of course, then all the water is like nectar. The floor is full of chintamani stones. The trees are wish-fulfilling trees. And the milk cows, they constantly emit, means they give so much milk that it's compared to an ocean. Hare Krishna. So that's very lofty, and just to maybe finish the class and once more make the point. So the human form is very, very special and valuable and rare. And we have gotten that human form, and not only are we fortunate enough to have this form, but we even are fortunate enough that we have come in contact with the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada, who has actually given us that Bhakti Lata. And now we are able to connect ourselves to this path and aspire to reach the highest goal, Goloka Vrindavan, and become an eternal associate of Sri Krishna. But it's a long way, and it's not easy. And there will be many tests by Maya to see if we are serious enough. And one last thing we should maybe remember is that our tendency is we want to enjoy, and if we somehow are not able to enjoy, then we want to renounce. Bhoga Tyaga, Prabhupada describes. And this tendency is very, very deeply inside of us. And when we connect to Krishna, he has the tremendous task of removing that anartha from us. And so he's the spiritual master and Krishna, they are helping us to remove that. And it's a process, and it's like a surgery operation. They take out this mentality. And we can see from the lives of great devotees that their life is often very troublesome. The great devotees, they have often a very troublesome life. And we can learn from Queen Kunti why that is actually so. She says that she actually prays for difficulties in her life, saying that if I face difficulties in my life, then I am actually able to remember you. And we know the goal of life is to remember Krishna always. And the tendency is that if we enjoy, we forget Krishna. Like we heard about the heavenly planets, it's almost impossible to be really, truly Krishna conscious. So what I wanted to say is that from my personal realization, the devotee who understands that fact, really, I mean not really, but at least theoretically, understands that, can embrace the difficulties as a chance to become more Krishna conscious, whereas some neophyte, they also can be neophyte, but somebody who is maybe, the four kinds of devotees, people who turn to Krishna, they are suffering or they want something, and then as soon as they get it, they forget Krishna. So that's the point, that if we understand this path, then we almost embrace the challenges, the difficulties. And what did Prabhupada say? He made this statement which is almost like a shloka. Easygoing life and Krishna consciousness go ill together. Yeah, somehow I wanted to make that point. Hare Krishna. And if you have anything to add, we are already over time, otherwise we can finish here. And just to add on that one point, and Prabhupada, when I was reading that statements, an easygoing life and Krishna consciousness go ill together, he was often making the point, like he was saying, just, worshipping the deities and receiving donations and staying comfortably, that's actually a big, big trap. And he was making the point, so many times you have to preach, because that's the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that everybody attains Krishna consciousness. And he gave the opportunity to everyone to participate and